The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.
We hope to help you. We want you to know that there's some life after the hurt. Hi, I'm Malin Whitaker. We're here today with Matt Duffin for Brain Mechanics. What Matt and I will endeavor to do on this show is to give you hope that having post-traumatic stress disorder, brain injury, or other types of afflictions, that there is another side. I want you to know that Matt is a survivor of brain injury and has been through many successful programs to help him come to the level that he is. He loves to teach and he loves to help. I have experienced it with my wife, who was also brain injured and has come back. What I want you to know is that everything that you hear from now on is our opinions based on our experience. We hope to help you. We want you to know that there's some life after the hurt. And now over to Matt Duffin.
Hi. I look relaxed, and I am, because with my brain injury I like to be relaxed. It makes my day better. I don't wear a suit, ever. But I'm still Matt. And we're not mechanics of the brain, but I'm going to bring a lot of mechanics of the brain to you. I myself have been through a tremendous amount of coping skills education, probably more than anybody in the country, as I have a radio show on brain injury, and my education factor is strong. And I want you to know I'm not bragging in any way, shape, or form. I'm educating. I'm all about recovery and awareness when it comes to the brain. Because once you lose the brain, in most cases, you're done. In my case, 98.4% of the people were done. I'm one of them 1.8% or 6%. I've worked hard after this. I'll get into my story, but I studied a lot. I did a lot, like I said. I've hung around a lot of other survivors, and I suggest that to anybody that's had a stroke, aneurysm, a brain injury. Hang around other survivors. Go to support groups. Do things. You'll teach each other a lot.
Well, Matt, that's what most of the show is about, is it not? I've been experienced as a caregiver and you as recovery, and I think between the two of us we can address many of the issues. There's no more helpless feeling for those who are around those that are brain injured than to not know what to do. You know, when you hear that your wife has been hit in the head and she is brain injured, and there's just nowhere that you feel like there is to go. And what Matt can help with here today and on the shows to come is to give you hope and also to bring those people to you that Matt's experienced. Many of them he's experienced himself.
Right, because I've been in hospitals with other survivors and other families. You know, I've talked directly to them, and they smile. I had one lady tell me it's the first time she had smiled in 3 months.
Yeah.
Why aren't you in acute care to help people out? I said, I don't know, tell them. But, you know, survivors, we pay it forward more than any other group probably there is. Because I'm telling you right now, a brain injury is a tough one. I've had 26 operations, going on 27 since my injury. Literally. You got to pay it forward.
Well, Matt, it shows, and that's what I think that, folks, this is what the show is about, that we want you to know that there is a future beyond this, that there is support, that there are people like Matt who's been there, done that, and you got the t-shirt, as they say. There's nothing more hopeless feeling, and I want you to know that Matt is the kind of person, and the people that he's going to be bringing on this show, and as much as I can contribute myself as a caregiver, we need you to know that there's a future that's not dark and black, that you need to know that there is a light out there for your loved ones, and the care and giving that is necessary for the brain injured is extraordinary, because it doesn't necessarily it doesn't have it like, oh, we're better now, you're good, go on. It continues that you need to be there all the time for them.
You're not healed and fixed once you leave the rehab hospital.
No.
Far from it.
No.
But again, this first show, my first show on TV,
Hey.
we're going to do it the best way we can. I'm not going to do it like I'm going to have scheduled out for the other ones when I have guests, because this show is about us. This show is primarily about me. And I'm going to tell you the beginning through almost now what it's like to have a brain injury. What it's like to come home and find out that your wife has been attacked and is in a coma. It has no right to survive.
You know, to be not just a loved one that has been attacked or hurt, or a car crash or IED or whatever with a brain injury, is an extraordinarily traumatic moment for you.
And expect it for the next month or two.
And there's, you feel like there's nowhere to go. And what Matt and I hope to bring you in this experience is that there is hope. There are people out there that will help, that you're not alone. You're not alone, okay?
Because when families get the call, we don't know what's going on.
No.
We're asleep. That's what I call it. I'm a smart aleck. I like being a smart aleck. You'll figure that out. But we're asleep while you're trying to figure out how to get off work and how we're going to stay out there. What's going to happen? What do we do with our other kids? And you got a son that's laying there that's dying. That's where you feel like you need to be. Although there ain't a dang thing you could do for him. Except
seemingly
support.
not.
You know,
seemingly not.
The biggest thing, and that would be the support you get from people, that I got from people, is them being around me. I didn't recognize them real well. I didn't. But strong support I got, not negative support. We'll talk about negative one day. The positive support I got made me want to get up. You know? You know, yet I understand there's much about coping skills and social skills to learn and understand, and I hope to teach some of that as we go on. Spend about 10 minutes maybe at the end of each show. And I'm still Matt. I'm a longtime resident of Milton, Indiana. except for the dozen years I was in the Navy. I was traveling the world then, literally. Actually, I've been to 18 countries. 19 if you want to count Kentucky. In my family, I was the youngest by far, and the son of a true American hero. My dad was at Pearl Harbor and saved 18 people's lives and his own. A true hero. And a baseball guru. That'd be Woody Duffin Sr. Definitely the senior. The junior's still alive. But you know, after raising 4 kids, he raised me, and my mom raised me. They finally got it right.
Careful.
You know, but I was doing what I could do. I was a sports writer. After I was out of the service, I became a sports writer. Well, I worked at Ford a little bit. 11 years worth of a little bit. They closed it. Like they do all factories around here, it seems. But they didn't close sports. You know, again, life changed for me dramatically on August 8th, 2008. I went from being a caregiver to my dad and a sports writer to a vegetable. My family's watching me lay there as a vegetable. I can't comprehend anything. Somehow I met my mother along that path. She'd only been dead since 2002. But Georgetta Duffin had been blessed. Receiving several, I got several international and national and state awards as a brain injured survivor. How I did, I don't know. I didn't even know they existed. But I studied hard. There were people like Joni Goins, John Hyatt, and Dr. Samantha Backhouse. She was my leader of it all. We'll go into that, and you'll meet her one day. You know, I'd spend much of my time around her workplace. And I did so much more. I'm doubling up. Oh.
It's okay. There's a little bit of stress here. And that's one of the things that I think that folks need to understand, that brain injury is a continuous recovery. It's not okay, we're better. You know, it's not like the broken bone that heals, or you're over the flu. In the case of brain injury, it's a challenge every day for those who've been injured. And here's the thing for them. Matt and the others that I've known and my wife, they know what they were capable of doing, and now they're not capable of doing it, and sadly they know they're not capable of doing it, and they like expressing themselves with words or handling themselves. Matt,
very frustrating.
You did games live, right, on the radio, and you can see the challenge, and especially when
yes,
a challenge is emotional like this, and that's one of the toughest things. And we want you to know that he's better. Matt's better. He's doing better. He's paying it forward. rather than just paying it back. But
I want to
it's
show
a struggle. It's a struggle, right?
Oh, every day.
And you just have
Very
to.
sad and serious.
Well, but at the same time, it's joyous. Look at look how you've helped some people.
And I decide after 5 minutes every morning when I wake up that I can't be sad and serious all day. I got to change this attitude.
Thank you. I was going to use
Because
an
I've been
expletive, but we're
trained.
on the television, so. Heck yeah. It's a decision, and that's what we want you to know here is that being well when you're brain injured is a decision also, not a medication, not necessarily an environmental thing, not something that you can provide. You have, the brain injured also have to have hope and reach out for it and seek it, and they have to have purpose. As Matt alluded to in his story, his mother, who had passed before him, appeared to him when he was neither here nor there. She was
my angel.
On both sides of the veil. He was neither dead nor alive, but he was on both sides of the veil. And his mother appeared to him. And now many will scoff at that and say, well, it's just because of his brain injury or whatever. Now, but what happens most importantly is when people who are brain injured like this, who have had a near-death experience or a death experience, when they come back, they'll look you in the eye, then they'll stare away, and they say, why am I here? Matt's answering that question for you, and I hope to answer it in the way I understand it as a caregiver. But Matt's answering that question. He gets up every morning, what was it, 5 minutes, right? And you decide not be unhappy, or not
at least
unhappy?
Because it's sad and it's serious, and you're going to know it every morning. It's not like you wake up and say, oh, I don't have a brain injury. It's there.
Yeah.
Before you get up and go to the restroom, it's there. You know.
Well, go ahead with your story some there, Matt, and let them know there.
I'm talking about Dr. B, and she's so talented.
Now, this is one of the first people that at your rehabilitation hospital that you went to. She was on staff there, correct?
Part-time, right. They come in and out they're at the
right.
Neuro Center is where they work at, but they come down the hospital.
But she was particularly instrumental in your recovery, am I correct?
Her mate, Dr. Trexler, not mate. she
partner in business.
Partner in business.
Yeah.
He spent some time with me.
Mm-hmm. And then my wife also was in the early parts of, sadly, before what my wife experienced and Matt was able to experience with Dr. Trexler and Dr. Backhouse, was that pretty much brain injured people were put off to the side, and it's kind of like, well, we'll see how they do.
Oh.
And just warehoused, basically.
This is aftercare, and aftercare I took it past the limit probably.
Yeah,
I got my foot in the door, I wouldn't let them out. But aftercare is what it's all about, period. Period. You have to learn your life all over again. You was dead or near death. I'll tell you about it. Because I spent much of the time at Dr. B's workhouse. It's called the Dr. Lisa Thompson School of Family and Recovery. You know, I'm a severe brain injury. So they want to call me an STBI. There's lots of initials out there. I've been called a glutton for punishment and a glutton for trauma. I get as I said, I get my 26th operation next week. And Dr. Buckmaster is great, and he works on legs and arteries, and
I think
he'll be the best.
You need to explain it. You had essentially a motorcycle crash.
Yeah.
And so what Matt's alluding to is his additional injuries that besides the head, you have all these. You were. I created a word for you, mangulated. I think you were mangulated, right?
A lot of my issues became physical as I learned my mental and cognitive part. And they tell me that's from the scar tissue that eventually grew in my brain. And I gotta believe them because there's one thing after another wrong with my legs, my stomach, a lot.
There's a lot.
You know, I've been called a glutton for punishment. So we're coming up on number 27. But late in the month of September 2008, I was at the rehab hospital of Indiana, and I'd been a vegetable, which I'm hoping at least was a tomato. I can eat them. And I hope, but I was told my name was Matt Duffin. And you know what? After about 5 weeks, eureka, I believed him. My name was Matt Duffin. I'd lost it. And I didn't remember the James Matthew Duffin part. But I got there. I didn't have a last name unless it was Doe. I was John Doe for a while. I was in the middle of the country where I wrecked. And as I calmed down doing this show, I want to show you what TBIs are all about. I am going to make mistakes. Some maybe less than others, some a whole lot more. I'm going to show you what it's all about. I'm one of our leaders. I'm an international brain injury advocate. You know, after 54 days of sleeping, after I hit my head, 54 days, and I was running around with Mom, came a nurse one day that was giving me a shower on number 54, and she was brushing my teeth. Then she wanted me to put on these diapers. I said, hey now, I don't play this game. I didn't really like you giving me a shower. No way. She said she'd be right back, and she went to get the nurse and doctor on the staff, and they rolled in for the next 3 days. Doctor after doctor after doctor.
Now, you hadn't talked at that point, up to that point, right?
Oh, no, not much.
So the diapers brought you around, huh? So to speak?
The lady giving me a shower.
Okay, all right,
I
all
didn't
right. We'll
care
leave
for
it at that. It can be a duality. Yeah.
She wouldn't get in the shower with me. You ain't going to give me a shower unless you get in the shower with me.
You probably looked a little ungainly, what with the wounds and battle scars and stuff, I'd guess. So. Seems like a reasonable thing on her part, yeah.
I had crushed the right side of my body. But I'd woke up. I was reasonably coherent, but I was tired. As I say, doctors from all over Indianapolis stopped by the next few days to check me out. And through this, what they called amnesia, I thought just Bugs Bunny dealt with amnesia. But, wrong page, does not do that. Oh. I found myself as a father, as a United States Navy veteran, and I was a career sports writer. I'd also spent some time working in a factory. Mm-hmm. I'm 56 years old. In the summer of 2008, I finished up 6 months of radiation and chemotherapy for some serious issues with my esophagus, and I've been released from that 2 months before. And then we had our Lincoln High School. We had our class reunion. Loved it. Life was giving them good. And then one morning in August, I stopped by the local diner, talked to a few people, give out some kudos. And I was headed to the most enjoyable day of our year, Family Farm Fest. Fun, food, and music. That would be celebrated, and the farmers going to work because the farmers would be going to work soon. 300 of your closest friends waiting on a country hillside for the hoedown. 4 months later, they'd be gathering again, collecting over $6,000 for my aid. They're both examples of small town love. We set up camp and we set up camp, and then my buddies and I headed off for some beer. They'd been my friends for over 40 years. So we took the scooter ride. And not having any booze at this party is a real tragedy, trauma. But the real tragedy struck soon.
Now you're talking about your actual accident.
Yeah. The real tragedy started soon, forcing me to miss Danny's party after 21 straight years of going to it.
Well, Matt, I tell you what, I think that the way you got injured is innocent enough that people can really appreciate that, you know, this is something that they may have done, got on a scooter, motorcycle, bike, they went off to war to fight for their country, but we're coming near the end of this particular show. I just wanted you to know on behalf of Matt and I that we care about you. There are people out there that care about you. There is an answer. There is hope. And Matt, with Brain Mechanics, this show hopes to help you by bringing you guests. And also you can go to braininjuryradio.com and look up the Matt Duffin Show and hear various radio broadcasts, internet radio broadcasts there. Remember, what we say here, we're not experts. We've just been there, done that. This is our opinion. And in no way do we offer medical help or career advice or investment potential or anything else. It's just people who care about people. And like Matt's story that he was just telling you, that in a little town, they care. And when it comes to brain injury, regardless of where you are, there's a bunch of little towns with people out there that want to try and help you. And Matt's available to help you as much as he can.
I'm struggling reading a little bit today.
It's okay, buddy.
I was wondering if you could read me a couple pages anyway. You need to know how these brain injuries happen.
Well, we're going to run out of time
on
this.
1 minute till the show's over?
Yep, we're going to run out of time on this one. So stay tuned. If you want to hear me read this or Matt to read it better the next time, stay tuned for our next show. Thanks so much for being with us. I appreciate it. On behalf of Matt Duffin and myself, Malin Whitaker, and all the rest out there that are caregivers and the brain injured, God bless you. God keep you. Good night.
The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.